He's tweeting in a way where he's never tweeted before. He doesn't tweet like this normally. Okay? He is sad. Bro is panicking. Bro knows this is at the top of the hour and there's a 3-minute ad break coming for him. He knows that he doesn't have money because he dumped all of his funds into the fucking Joe Biden ads. And now he's left with no $6 to avoid the ad break at the top of the hour. He don't even have a Twitch Prime. He used it on himself. Okay? He used it on himself. But you, unlike Donald Trump, could use your Twitch Prime here. It's free if you no longer want to see those ads. Or you can get gifted a sub if you're lucky. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
Biden's campaign co-chair, Cedric Richmond, was saying this.
I want to be crystal clear. He's made a decision, and that decision is to accept the nomination and run for re-election, win re-election.
Yeah, okay. Just a few hours later, a letter was released bearing Biden's signature announcing he's going to step aside from the race. So what happened?
That's so funny. They're crying foul. They're playing to the referee. They're like, I don't like it. They're not playing fair. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude.
See you on a Sunday night.
Good to see you, Laura. And we understand that 4 of the president's top advisors made a pilgrimage to the beach house. It was Ron Klain, Anita Dunn, Steve Ricchetti, and Mike Donnellan. They were all there last night.
Yeah, and her name ain't Anita Wynn, if you know what I mean.
Let her know what exactly was going to happen. She is talking about this and saying, with this selfless and patriotic act, President Biden is doing what he has done throughout his life of public service, putting the American people and our country above everything else. As recently as last night, the president was digging in, according to a report in the New York Times that outlined his frustration with Speaker Pelosi and Barack Obama for not doing more to stop the Democratic Party mutiny against him. And President Biden justified staying in the race just last week, saying he initially wanted to be a bridge to another generation of Democrats, but he doesn't want to hand things off to them while the country is so polarized. The pressure on the president built and built and built after that really shaky debate, which happened way earlier than normal because his campaign thought that was going to help them. It didn't. The president now says, "It has been the greatest honor of my life to serve as your president. And while it has been my intention to seek re-election, I believe it is in the best interest of my party and the country for me to stand down and focus solely on fulfilling my duties as president for the remainder of my term." And there have been a lot of questions about what exactly the family's impact was on President Biden as he weighed what to do. And we just got a statement from the First Lady's office that says, down to the last hours of the decision only he could make, she was supportive of whatever road he chose. She's his biggest believer, champion, and always on his side in that trusted way only a spouse of almost 50 years can be. That is the latest from a very, very busy day here at the White House. Laura.
Wow, Peter, thank you so much. I want everyone to understand there are a few points we have to be very clear about tonight. Biden tonight is just as overall healthy and just as capable of doing the job as he was before the debate with President Trump. Obama, Schumer, Pelosi, they all knew that he was, basically not completely together. That weeks and weeks and weeks ago. In fact, they've known it for years, but they didn't care. They didn't care so long as it didn't threaten their hold on power. So what changed for Biden wasn't his overall competence.
They're so good. They immediately moved on. They're like, all right, time to bust out the new moves, okay?
To solve this threat, the power brokers in the party apparently intended to give the nomination to Kamala Harris. Well, that is ludicrous.
You think you just fell out of a coconut tree? You exist in the context of all in which you live and what came before you.
The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time. Who doesn't love a yellow school bus, right? Can you raise your hand if you love a yellow school bus, right?
Like, this doesn't work.
Always ask, is there a Venn diagram for this? I'm telling you, it's fascinating when you do.
This is not good. This is not good strategy.
Happened last night and this morning. Kamala Harris has not won a single primary. She hasn't persuaded a single delegate. She tried to run in the 2020 cycle, and we all remember she was utterly humiliated, dropping
That's
out
good.
even
This is good.
before the Iowa caucuses. And of course,
This part is actually fair and
performance
solid.
as VP has been pretty abysmal.
Vice President Kamala Harris and her office are on damage control tonight after the latest in a series of missteps.
Growing tension between Vice President Kamala Harris and the White House.
As the 2024 race heats up, can she make a good second impression on voters? Or could she drag down the Democratic ticket?
And remember what Politico told us about Harris's VP office? That it was totally dysfunctional. And I remember when the Washington Post told us that Harris's...
Thank you. Please, this is sanity, okay? The last insane, chaotic, stupid month in American politics has obscured a simple, basic truth. Trump is deeply unpopular and an eminently beatable politician. It is so fucking real. And this is the reason why I was saying that even Joe Biden, despite being a fucking carcass that people now recognize is a carcass, still had a shot at defeating Donald Trump, albeit a shot that was increasingly getting worse and worse. Okay, as days went on, Joe Biden's chances of winning this re-election was getting harder and harder. Having said that, however, I think people forget how unimaginably unpopular Donald Trump is. I don't think he's unpopular. Brother, you are wrong. Okay? You are fucking wrong. I'll say it like this. Okay? 2016 Donald Trump was new. He was fresh. People were like, ooh, this is a guy. I really hate the fucking system. I'll blow up this goddamn system. 2020 Donald Trump lost after 4 years of being president. Okay? At that point, he was no longer an unknown entity. Everybody knew him. His popularity stayed solidly at that 30% base of support. That support is an absolute must if you want to win the Republican Party's primaries. But the Republican Party itself recognized how fucking polarizing and unpopular Donald Trump was. Okay? I live in Butler. Uh-oh. Yeah. He might be popular in Butler, but guess what? Butler County, Pennsylvania is 14,000 people. Okay? He is not fucking popular in populated areas. Like, that's a predicament. You know what I mean? When we're talking about Pennsylvania, like, yeah, sure, the countryside surrounds the cities, but, you know, we're not doing a Maoist peasant revolution or some shit, okay? We're doing an election. And in a democratic election, you got to be popular in the cities, too, if you want to win the state. You feel me? 200K people, actually. I thought Butler was tiny. Turns out he wasn't popular enough in Butler. There was at least one guy. He won in 2016, which disproves that. Brother, Donald Trump in 2016, like I said, was an anti-establishment candidate. He had not actually shown what he would be like if he was the president. Okay? Now, as far as the anti-immigrant sentiment goes, I was right, and that chatter who randomly said there's 200,000 people in Butler was wrong. City of Butler is around 13K. Also, Donald Trump still lost the popular vote, so there is that reality as well. Okay? I had lunch with some coworkers, blue-collar jobs, Southwest Ohio. Most of them laughed when another made a joke about Trump getting shot. Yeah, there was one guy who didn't like Donald Trump in Butler, okay? On that day, there was one fucking dude who was really not on board with Donald Trump, okay? His name, Thomas Matthew Crooks. Turns out he wasn't really on board with Joe Biden either. Donald Trump happened to be in distance, in the appropriate distance for him. All things considered. Anyway,